her son Christopher at the age of just 21 to this epidemic. She was in court with the Sacklers for the first trial. Also with us, the Attorney General of Connecticut, William Tong, who opposed the immunity deal. It's good to have both of you with us this morning. So, Didi, understandably, I know that yesterday you were still sort of wrapping your head around this settlement, around this deal. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling basically relieved and pleased that it has gone through. I mean, of course, nothing is ideal in this sort of situation, but I think it is the best that we could have gotten. The alternative would have been thousands and thousands of lawsuits that could have gone on for years and years, and I just don't think that would have helped anything. I mean, I hate to sound like I'm agreeing with the Sacklers, but I do think I'm pleased that it's happened.
Mr. Attorney General, when it comes to you, you put out a statement calling the decision both significant and imperfect. But then you went on to say you recognize you would push this as far as we could. What does this settlement mean for people in Connecticut? What will it change in your state?
First of all, there's no victory here. And at the end of the day, no amount of money, no amount of justice will make this right for Didi and her family, and Christine Gagnon and Liz Fitzgerald in Connecticut and their sons. But at the end of the day, we pushed as hard as we could. This deal, the $6 billion, is 40% more than the deal that I opposed and took to court and overturned until the Second Circuit reinstituted the $6 billion deal yesterday with its decision. And this $6 billion deal will fund treatment and prevention. It gets the Sacklers out of the opioid business. It shuts down Purdue Pharma. It gave Didi and families like Didi's the opportunity to address the Sacklers and tell them how they wrecked their lives. And it gets money to families like Didi's, fully $750 million or more. And that's what's so important about this settlement, in that it gets money directly to victims and survivors.
You know, as the Attorney General just mentioned, Didi, you did have the opportunity to address the Sacklers in court. You told them about your son. You told them about what he was prescribed when he was a teenager, suffering from sports injuries, which so many parents can relate to, and what that ultimately did to him. Do you feel that you were heard?
Not really. We were on a Zoom call with them for probably 3 hours, and I didn't see. They didn't even blink their eyes, basically. I mean, they just sat there. I really don't know that they heard us. But it still felt good to have that time to address them.
Would it make a difference if there was a direct apology, if there was a direct acknowledgement?
I don't think they have any credibility, so I don't know that it would mean anything to me. I mean, they've been lying from the very beginning to the whole world about their wonder drug, OxyContin. So I don't think I would believe that. There's my Chris.
In terms of, you know, Mr. Attorney General, you talked about what this will do in terms of treatment, in terms of what will happen in the state of Connecticut, and how you were pushing for more. Ultimately, there is some criticism, as I'm sure you're aware, in terms of the funding here. According to Forbes, and I just want to make sure I get this correct, the Sackler family was worth about $11 billion in 2020. Patrick Radden-Keefe, who, of course, wrote the book on the Sacklers, has pointed out that there's so much money that that the return that they can actually earn on that fortune would cover a large chunk of this penalty. And so there's talk about how they could actually be richer at one point in time. How do you address that?
Yeah, that's why we went so hard after the Sacklers, because let's be clear, they tried to use the bankruptcy laws and now it appears have successfully used the bankruptcy laws to shield themselves. But the Sacklers are not bankrupt. No Sackler will have to sell a boat or a car or a home or a piece of art or a piece of jewelry while people still continue to die here in Connecticut and across the country. But since I've become Attorney General, not just this settlement of $6 billion, but together we've put together settlements totaling more than $50 billion, which will return hundreds of millions of dollars to Connecticut, and most of that money will go to funding treatment, prevention, and addiction science in Connecticut and across the country.
In terms of how that funding will be used, this part of the fight may be over for you, Dee Dee, but I know that your battle actually continues in honor of, in memory of your son, Chris. This is a large part of your work now, is ensuring that this doesn't happen to other families.
Absolutely. I'm an ambassador for a nonprofit group called Shatterproof, and Gary Mendel, who started Shatterproof, also lost his son the same way. And we spend a lot of time with passing legislation, helping the community, developing services for addiction treatment. So yes, there's a lot to be done. And I do also want to add that even though the Sacklers can't be held civilly liable, they can still be held criminally liable. And I think they should be. There's nothing stopping anybody from holding them criminally liable. I mean, they caused the death of over 500,000 people. So I don't know why that isn't a next step.
Mr. Attorney General, we're just about out of time, but do you see that happening in the future?
Look, I agree with Dee Dee. They should go to jail. At the end of the day, in Connecticut, the Attorney General doesn't have criminal authority, but we've said over and over again that they should be held accountable, and I totally agree with her.
Attorney General William Tong, Dee Dee Yoder, thank you both for being with us this morning. Really appreciate it.